for having me here in this podcast. Absolutely love talking to you in this episode about the IT, my journey, and then my thoughts and process and all of that. So thanks a lot. I'm Prasanna. I've got 14 plus years of experience, Ankur, and I joined TCS as a fresher right after my engineering base in 2010, and until 2022 I was with TCS. So currently I'm playing the Chief Technology Officer role in Fly91, which is a pure play domestic regional based airline where the focus is to connect tier 1 to tier 2, 3, and 4 cities. And before we talk about Fly 91, I would like to touch about my early days in TCS. Because whatever I'm here today, whatever I'm doing here, it's all thanks to TCS, the strong foundations that it has taught me, the kind of global exposure that I've got with the varied customers across the globe, and then the way of working, understanding technology, understanding business. I think it's all, the first part, the credit goes to my managers, my management in TCS there. So incidentally for me, after I joined TCS, the first 3 to 4 years I worked as a developer, and in right from my early days, I was put into airline-based customers across the globe. So my first customer was from the US, where they are from the distribution in the airline world, where they try to distribute the airline inventory content across the globe and help people book the stuff. And from the second year, I started working, with a very, I would say, one of the top 10 airlines across the world, incidentally from the Asia Pacific background. Yeah. So I worked for their, the legacy migration of their legacy system, which was built almost 25, 30 years back, even more than that. And they were in the process of modernizing their complete core, the way you book, the way you see the prices, the way you have your airport experiences, all the complete stuff they were trying to do a transformation on that. And I was fortunate enough to be part of that as a developer, trying to understand how the legacy systems have been built and how the modern day systems are built. How do we migrate from the older system to the newer system? So I was fortunate enough to be at their place as well during the migration, cutover, do a lot of activities within my capability as a junior most team member there. Okay. And lucky for me, that gave me a very good exposure on the systems level. How do you migrate? How do you transform? What are the things that you'll have to take care during the transformation? Because that 6 to probably 8 months of timeline, having interacted with the customers, gave me a different perspective. What the customers want, not as a developer, what I want to give. It is all about what the customers want. And again, second time I was lucky. Once that engagement got over, there was an opening in one of the Japanese-based organization there. So TCS wanted to expand big in the Japanese region because the TCS presence was there since early 1990s. But this time it was a very productive investments in the Japanese market, and they decided, okay, let's go and crack the market. And that's where one of the biggest airlines from Japan was also looking for a very similar, modernization of their system, which is what we have done and very recently concluded there for the other customer. So I got a direct chance to travel to Japan in the year 2030. And then, from a developer role, I started with a techno BA role there because, Japanese, and then there is an European vendor, there is an American vendor, and it was tough for them because this is the first time they are trying to do $1 billion transformation, and the system scope was so huge. So there was a lot of scope for us, and I was so happy to grab, all that with my arms, saying that this is what I want. So I did not mind migrating my role from a developer to a techno BA role where I got a very good exposure talking to the customers, sitting next to them, understanding what exactly is their business, how their legacy system has been into life for the last 40 years. They were living with a system that was built 30, 40 years before. Almost 1970s is when they built that. And looking at that, understanding the business, sitting next to them was like a wow moment for me. And also helping the to be system vendors to understand all these stuff, managing both the vendors and my customers, preparing a lot of technical documents, doing a lot of technical API analysis to say, to the customer, you see, you asked this, but I think, this will be a better way to achieve your business goals, and doing the discussions with the vendors as well. So that again gave a lot of insights into the business domain for me.
So,
So,
Prasanna, if I could
so
understand it
that,
right, from the very joining, you are part of the travel, transportation, and hospitality space.
yeah.
And in okay, that's superbly nice. And in terms of the transformation that you're talking about, so our viewers might be interested. I am also interested in knowing,
Mm.
when we talk about transformation, was it just transformation in terms of the legacy code modernization from, say, COBOL to uh, newer set of languages, or was it transformation beyond just the code, but also the processes that the organization was following?
Yeah. See, I would divide that into two phases of transformation, Ankur. Generally, these sort of bigger airlines, right? Typically, they have a minimum of 250 plus to 300 plus applications as their IT ecosystem. And, the core system is something that they have built it in-house as a legacy system in the mainframe world 40, 50 years back, and they have been maintaining that. And so this mainframe system becomes a core system, and all your impacted systems, the upline and the downline systems, would have been built, since 1990s, 2000s. Basis when the system was built, the technology architecture would have been adapted with that. But this is the core system that feeds data to all these 250 or 300 plus impacted applications, or the ecosystem of applications that we say. So the phase one migration was all about migrating this core in-house system to a SaaS-based product. Okay, so there where we don't control the way how they develop the system. Of course, features are something that we say that this is what we want, but it's typically a well-built product that is satisfying the requirements of world's multiple other leading airlines across the globe. So the phase one migration was all about migrating this core in-house system to a third-party SaaS-based system where we don't have to manage anything. Everything is there. It's a proven, tested product by multiple other global airlines, and we are trying to use it for our own needs with a little bit of customization. Okay.
Okay.
So I was helping them in kind of explaining the business requirements, what it lies in the core system and how it has to be in the new system. And also the customizations are like, why we need a customization, how the solution can be implemented without impacting other features, and how do we implement it, how do we validate it, how do we take it to the go live production monitor and all these stuff. And while we say this, it is not that, everything the third party systems will be doing. Few things like massaging, where they cannot do it. If that third party vendor has to do it, it's a lot of effort, wherein sometimes internally we can do that, as an internal work and then give it to them. So it involved the business transformation from one system to the other system, and it also involved building multiple internal applications as well. So this was the phase one. So the phase one helped us to lay the strong foundations of understanding the business and moving to the core system, to a different system which has got the API capabilities. Because you can understand that a system that was built 40, 50 years back, the economies of API microservices were not there. Okay, so
Right.
it was all a patchwork based. Okay, I give you this, you do something. The second system will do something. So there will be multiple patch level things that would have happened, and then the end user will be seeing. So here we are exposing direct APIs. So that's where this business transformation and this. Once that phase one was over, and then it opened a plethora of, as I told you, 250 plus 300 plus applications are there. Now that the core, it's like the core is done. Now it has given another, multi-million dollar opportunity to interact with these systems directly. The way they interact today may not be the most efficient because it was a legacy, but now we bring in the API capability. So you can do whatever you want. And that's when, in 2017s and 2018s, that's when the cloud, IoTs, APIs, microservices, from moving to a monolithic to microservices, monolithic to micro front end in terms of the front end. The databases were becoming so performance based and all those stuff. So 2017, 18, 19 is the period where, once the phase one got over, this phase two, we started doing all those stuff. And that's when, that was like another wonderful moment for me, because the previous 3-4 years, I was completely immersed into the business transformation with the customers, understanding the systems, moved from a developer to this role,
Yeah.
and then back into building all these ecosystems for multiple customers. And that's where I also had a wonderful opportunity. So now that we have understood the airline domain very well, the inside and outside part of it, so we were growing pretty fast in the market. And
Yeah.
that's when there was a lot of demand to take up multiple roles as well internally. And I was again very happy because, of course, those were very difficult days to manage the work. But I thought it's also my learning opportunity. See, people wait for opportunities. It
Yeah.
doesn't knock the doors of everyone. When it knocks, I just wanted to take it up and then
Yeah.
take the right help from the team and go ahead and do it. So that's when I got the right help from the team, going behind multiple transformation projects. So I started leading the pre-sales effort as well, preparing the proposals, solutions, and all those stuff. So it was all going good again. So we started winning a lot of deals, a lot of transformative, absolutely development related projects with all the latest of the tech stack. Starting from 2019, later half, we started completely focusing on all these projects. So that's how I started leading the pre-sales effort as well. And all the projects that we won, uh, I hold the responsibility of building the teams at offshore and then managing the teams. So if you say a typical IT industry, we have the sales vertical, we have the pre-sales and the delivery management. So slow and steadily, I started leading the pre-sales and the delivery with the support of so many other, internal members. And that's how we grew. So
Okay.
into multiple customers, multiple transformative technology related projects.
So, Prasanna, it is interesting to know your specific perspective, and I'm super happy to know that you remember these very specific bits, even though multiple years have passed by. But maybe because these were the opportunities that allowed you to reach where you are today. So that's why
Yeah.
it has acted as a ladder to reach here. But now, if we again go back to the time you joined, and if we see multiple other professionals like you who would have joined at that time, and so is it the case at IT services firms that people say who joined in X vertical, they stay in X vertical? Um, is it because the choices that you made, or is it because um, what I basically mean to ask is, are people able to move from one vertical to another,
Yeah.
uh, or for that do they generally switch the firms?
That's a very interesting question, Ankur. Okay, if you had asked me the same question 5 years before, my point of view would have been different. But now,
Yeah.
after having seen all these experiences, today my perspective is totally different. So I'll tell
Yeah.
you, when we joined, right? In fact, I joined as a mainframe developer. So all my friends told me, "Hey, we are in 2010. Why have you joined as a mainframe developer? I was trained in Java platform. So people were telling me Java is a new thing to happen. You are going to waste your life by being a mainframe developer." I thought, oh, is it? Oh my God. I tried talking to people, changing the technology stuff and all those stuff, but it didn't happen. Okay. Whatever, life gave me, I just took it and then I just wanted to do the best. Now, coming to your question, right? Back where the days where, yes, from a services firm point of view, right? See, there are always two things. Number one, if you want to be a technology guy, technology is always horizontal. If you are an expert in Java or .NET or Python, you can go and write a piece of code for an airline or for a banking service or for
Mm.
healthcare, because Java is Java. You are an expert in Java. So there are two ways to see it. One from a industry perspective, I mean from the services firm point of view. One from the individual point of view. If you think your core strength, is getting into the technology part and you want to learn because technology also evolves so faster and you want to be the technology oriented guy, then industry doesn't matter to you at all. You go, I call that to be, the vertical depth that you take. You have decided that you want to be in the world of programming, you want to be a tech architect, you want to be the enterprise architect, then you will go deeper into it. But from a services point of view, right, from a company like, all the leading services company, see, for us, if we have spent 4 years or 3 years or even say 5 years with you as a developer in the technology role, you have also evolved a lot in terms of understanding the business. Now you are no more a developer who will just go and write a piece of code to execute that module. Rather, you will have a sound understanding that why we are building that module. You will know, you will ask the right questions, what the customers have not told you. You will say that, boss, you told me this is the requirement, but you should also told me XYZ, which you missed it. That comes from the experience. See, that's the value add part of it. Now, when we try to go and deliver services to the customer, right, they will be happy if we deliver what is asked, but they will be extremely happy for the value adds that we give. Now, how the value adds will come, it is purely through the domain understanding. Okay. So from a services point of view, if you have spent enough time in a particular domain, then there is more likely an inclination to retain you into that because, see, of course, you will be having your own growth. You would have started as a junior developer, then a senior, then a lead, then a tech lead, then probably an architect. So you will be able to fulfill all the aspirations that you have still in the technology by being into the domain as well. The company will also be able to get a lot of value from you. You will be able to give a lot of value to the customers as well. This is
Yeah.
this is one point of view. Now today, what happens is even internally when I'm hiring, right? See, sometimes the problem is when developers or the technology guys focus too much only on the tech part, they miss a black hole in understanding the business requirement. If the requirement is not understood well, the why part of why we are building it is not understood well, technology is not going to add value. So before it was a question of choice, whether I want to take this or I want to take this. I made a choice that while since I have spent I have spent almost 10 years with the customers at on-site, I decided that I should be understanding the business domain so that I will be able to add a lot of value. Okay, and today this choice, the bridge is very short. You know, I'm so happy to have the technology guys in the team as long as they put their first foot to understand the business. If anyone is going to touch the module, touch the code base without understanding the business of why we are doing it, it's a red flag for me. I say that you take even 2 weeks time, 3 weeks time to understand the business background, but without doing it, don't come and start writing the piece of code because I know where things can go wrong. So,
Okay.
so today, if you say all the companies as well, from a customer point of view, if I speak today, I would prefer a technology guy who has learned the business. I'm not demanding that when he enters into the team itself, he should be an expert in the business. But I will give enough time to understand the business, then you be the technology guy for me. So that's the way the trend has changed today.
Okay. Okay. So, Prasanna, I appreciate your views, but I do have a interesting question to poke in this particular aspect. Since you have talked about that, as people would move up the ladder and they would learn a lot about the business along with the technology. And anyways, the talent pipeline is such that new talent from a technology standpoint keep entering the firm. Um,
Yeah.
so my question is, why haven't these services companies, the TCS and HCL and Infosys of the world, and even the, I must say, the counterparts in the global, uh, which are set up abroad, right? How and why these companies have not been able to monetize uh, or build products for the companies, for the enterprises? Why are they not in the game of products and still playing the services business? Is it by choice? Because if I take your word and there's a lot of business understanding that has come in, I believe they should have moved up the ladder from services to business.
No, you are absolutely right. See, the way if you see the IT industry in India has evolved, right? We started off as an offshoring and outsourcing firms from India to the global companies in the early 2000s. The way we help the world to solve the Y2K problem, help us to gain that advantage and the trust that yes, we guys can deliver. There was a lot of money, right? We started getting billed in dollars. Okay, while the workers are still in India and you pay in INR. So I would say the first 5 to 10 years, until 2010, there was a lot of money because initially the global customers were also, they were trying out whether this will work. Will guys really work from offshore? I don't see the guy. Do I know that he's really working? She's really working and all those stuff. So it took a lot of time and effort to build the trust for the global organizations to accept this outsourcing as a model. I would say, until early 2010, that was a period of offshoring and outsourcing. But in that decade, I think the software services have also understood the, going deeper into the value chain integration. So the value chain integration comes in understanding their business and also exactly knowing this should be the product, this should be the platform that we should be building,
Right.
which will now, as a common product or a framework, will help to solve the problems of multiple customers instead of going and developing for everybody. Okay. I think that's where at an enterprise scale, few organizations have really thought about it. For example, in the banking industry, no, I forgot the name of the products. I don't know if I remember right. For example, from Infosys Finacle, the banking core platform, TCS Banks, the
Thanks.
earlier
Yeah.
name, it had it. So, the era of 2010, 2008, 2011 and all this, they focus so heavily into these big chunk of enterprise products and frameworks for these multi-million or even $1 billion transformation. But in this decade, right, from 2010 to 2020, there are two different ways of seeing it, Ankur. Now, since the early 2000s to 2012, 2013, there has been enough of IT talent that has been churned out in India who has understood how the global customers work, the big enterprise thought process, the frameworks, products. And that's when we also started seeing the startup space in India. From the days of Flipkart, Myntra, Snapdeal, to 2010s, if I'm not wrong, 2009 or 10. So if you see why service companies have not taken advantage of building, it's a matter of choice. It's a matter of strategy for them because building a product, building a platform needs investment. Are you ready to invest that money? Are you ready to wait for a year to 2 years to keep pumping in money and then see if it is able to work, scale, and all those stuff? So I think it's a matter of choice. They identified opportunities in the insurance or some other domains where they have specific platforms to be readily deployed. But beyond that, yes, I do accept they did not move faster enough to build multiple smaller products. That was a slow period. Maybe they might have taken a decision that I don't want to invest now. Rather, I'm happy with the services money. Okay. But people who have understood this deeper value chain integration, I think, because the services firm is the mothership for all the IT talent in India. People moved out, they really understood the startup system, the startup ecosystem got into space. People who really believed in the idea of products, I think that spurred innovation in the startup space and some of the successes early in 2013-14, it gave results into multiple startup companies. Number two, number three, if you see now both these things combined together added more weightage to the IT talent that is available in India, and that's where the global captive centers also started coming to India. Multiple global organizations they came and started their IT delivery centers based out of India. It's truly because they have understood the potential that they can build their in-house products to be catered. They can build the platforms to be deployed for their internal organizations and innovation, it was growing at a very very rapid scale where the constraints that we saw in the world of IT services, people just came out, they became a part of the startup ecosystem and they became a part of the GCCs, and I would say they are so happily delivering it.
Yeah. So I agree to it because I also connect with multiple professionals in the same space. And I have heard the similar thing that it's largely a matter of choice. Otherwise, the firms and the scale at which TCS, Infosys, or HCLs or similar firms operate, they can easily monetize a certain pieces which they are working on. Like you
Yeah.
mentioned for TCS for the banking space, or similarly for Infosys, but it's largely a matter of choice that they have worked in, and also a matter of understanding things in terms of the arbitrage. Like I was hearing Cognizant CEO the other day, he was talking about how they want to move from the labor arbitrage to the technology arbitrage,
Yeah.
which basically mentions that instead of just leveraging the delta in the wages across onshore and offshore, they would also focus on building the right technology aspect across the enterprise landscape.
Yeah, correct. That's true.
So, right. And as you specifically mentioned, that we basically, these firms like TCS, Infosys, these have laid the ground for the professionals who have then moved on and built products. So now is the part to talk about